The Yemeni Civil War, one of the most devastating and complex conflicts in the Middle East, began in 2014 and continues to wreak havoc on Yemen's population. This war has deep roots, stemming from historical, political, and regional tensions that have escalated into a full-scale conflict. The situation in Yemen is a humanitarian disaster, with millions of lives lost, displaced, and affected. Yemen, located at the southern tip of the Arabian Peninsula, has long been a fragile state. After the Arab Spring in 2011, President Ali Abdullah Saleh, who had ruled for nearly 33 years, was forced to step down. His successor, Abdrabbu Mansour Hadi, struggled to unite the country and address widespread poverty, corruption, and unemployment. Meanwhile, the Houthi movement, a Shiite rebel group from northern Yemen, grew increasingly disillusioned with the government's inability to represent their interests. In 2014, the Houthis, backed by forces loyal to Saleh, took advantage of Hadi's weakening position. They captured the capital, Sana'a, and forced Hadi to flee to Saudi Arabia by early 2015. Following Hadi's flight, Saudi Arabia, along with 8 other Arab nations, intervened in 2015, launching a military campaign aimed at restoring Hadi to power. The coalition was supported by Western nations, including the US and the UK, which provided weapons, intelligence, and logistical support. On the other side, the Houthis were supported by Iran, though the extent of Iranian involvement remains debated. The war quickly escalated with airstrikes by the Saudi-led coalition targeting Houthi-controlled areas, including the capital, Sana'a, and key infrastructure. The conflict also saw the rise of other factions, including separatists from southern Yemen who seek independence from the north. The war has had catastrophic consequences for Yemen's civilian population. According to the United Nations, over 250,000 people have died due to direct and indirect causes of the conflict, including airstrikes, famine, and disease. In addition, more than 4.5 million Yemenis have been displaced from their homes, creating one of the world's largest refugee crises. The blockade imposed by the Saudi-led coalition has exacerbated the situation, severely limiting food and medical supplies. Approximately 80% of the Yemeni population, around 24 million people, require humanitarian assistance, with many facing acute food insecurity. Cholera outbreaks and the spread of other diseases have further strained the country's already fragile healthcare system. The international community has largely failed to bring an end to the conflict. Diplomatic efforts, including United Nations-led peace talks, have largely stalled, with both sides entrenched in their positions. The United States and European countries have been criticized for their continued arms sales to Saudi Arabia and the UAE, despite evidence of war crimes committed by the coalition. Human rights organizations have documented numerous instances of indiscriminate bombing, including attacks on schools, hospitals, and markets. In recent years, there have been some efforts toward de-escalation, particularly in the form of the 2018 Stockholm Agreement, which sought to establish a ceasefire in the port city of Hodeidah, but it has not led to a lasting peace. The war in Yemen remains unresolved with no clear end in sight. While both sides have suffered tremendous losses, there is little willingness to compromise. The humanitarian crisis continues to worsen, and Yemen's future remains uncertain. The conflict is not just a local issue but a proxy war with broader regional implications, involving Saudi Arabia, Iran, and other international powers. As of 2024, Yemen remains one of the most devastated countries in the world, and the international community must do more to bring about a lasting peace and provide much-needed humanitarian aid. The Yemeni people, who have borne the brunt of this devastating war, deserve peace and stability for the future.